Hey, we are live for another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. Wow, happy Friday, everyone. A lot going on, a lot to cover today. Let me get a happy Friday from my audience. Let's see who's watching. Happy Friday to everyone watching. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna dive into it. Let's get the stuff. Let's get the party started and let's get everything set up. My name's Nnamdi Osuagwu. I'm the host of the Tech Behind FinTech. We talk about the technology that powers the money every Friday, 12 p.m. EST. So, what do we have here to start with? First article. Give me a second. We're gonna pull it up. Okay. So last week we reported that AWS went down. Oh, we have a greetings from a LinkedIn user. Let's see. Greetings back to you. Let me see. Let me check my It's hard for me to see. I think that they have this situation set to private, but I can check to see who just sent a comment. Oh, it's Medina. Yeah, friend of the show for sure. Hey, Medina, thanks for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. So, last week, what happened? We reported that it was last week Tuesday. AWS had an outage, and this last week it was in the region's U.S. East, in the U.S. East One region. This week on Wednesday, December 15th, they had another outage, not as long, lasted under an hour in the U.S. West One and U.S. West Two regions. So they're saying the issue was caused by network congestion between parts of AWS, the AWS backbone, and a subset of the internet service providers, which is triggered, which was triggered by AWS traffic engineering, executed in response to congestion outside of the network. So, so they basically incorrectly moved more traffic than expected to parts of the AWS backbone, and that affected the connectivity. Once again, it was quick, but living up to the 99.9% uptime. It's yeah, crazy times. So that happened on Wednesday. Know if the outage brought down popular services like Disney. No, that was last week. This outage, I think it affected Hulu and other some other providers. So yeah, it's kind of still. Let me put this article in the chat for the audience. You can follow up. This is a real in-depth article on it. Let me get it up for you guys. I don't know if anyone noticed. If you noticed it or impacted, definitely ooh, definitely give a shout. Let me 1 second. Try to get this article. I'm trying to paste this article for you guys. So you can follow up if you're interested in learning more about it. I'll put it on the screen after I post this AWS outage. You want to follow up, that's the article on the screen. You could just uh, Google AWS is down again. Here's all we know. It's on a Tech Radar article. Um, what do we have next? So it's yeah, last week we described that in the US, the AWS has the regions listed. I think it's like five. So US those four. So US West One and West Two were down as indicated. It feels like we're like deja vu, but in two outages in 2 weeks, definitely not not good. Well, let me adjust my background. Yep, now that's better. Okay, let's move on. So, next fintech article: Barclays turns to HP GreenLake for a private cloud solution. So, found this one interesting. I mean, we talk about public cloud. So, like for those that don't know, AWS, Azure, Google, those are examples of public clouds. But in some instances, especially when it comes to banking or some people with sensitive data, they have internal private clouds, and they're basically the only users of that cloud. They may seek to work, obviously, with some sort of partner who could provide that technology for them, but essentially, it's their own private internal cloud. Hence the word private. So the bank has so from the bank has signed a strategic cloud partnership in which the HPE GreenLake edge to cloud platform will be integral to Barclays' hybrid multi-cloud strategy and digital transformation across the businesses. The platform will host thousands of apps and 100,000 plus workloads, including virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, SQL databases, Windows Server, and Linux across the bank's main hubs in UK, US, and Asia. Um, so that's interesting on the technology front. How you see things happening on the public side with the outages, and you see certain banks. It is a multi-cloud solution, so that doesn't mean they might not have resources in a public cloud, but it looks like a lot of their main applications will be in their private cloud, and they're going to be powered by the HPE GreenLake for that service. Let's see what's going on with comments. And just so you know, right, we have different topics we're covering today, but we will definitely address the elephant. Is that the term, elephant in the room? Well, like the elephant, which is Log4j, obviously. That's it. I mean, it's that issue is bigger than fintech. It's just it impacts industries throughout, the technology firms and different servers. But we'll get to that at the end, and definitely drill into it. But for right now, couple of more fintech news articles that we found interesting. So Nuvei, it's a Canadian-based firm. They partnered with Visa to launch a branded crypto debit cards across Europe. So yeah, Nuvei, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, is a Canadian pay tech firm. And so Nuvei says the collaboration enables clients to close the fiat, which is fiat's another word for money, term used a lot in the crypto space, fiat to fiat loop process that previously depended on the cooperation of the legacy banking system. So to read you this quick thing on that, over the past year, Nuvei has provided crypto-friendly debit cards to blockchain finance ecosystem Coty, enabling the firm to launch crypto bank accounts and the Coty branded Visa debit cards. Partnering with Nuvei, merchants of Coty's blockchain finance network are now able to accept cryptocurrency as a payment option. So if you're a merchant in Coty's blockchain network, you can accept various forms of cryptocurrency as a payment for your product or your service. I mean, if you think about it, you see that's where things are going. I mean, after a while, like you're buying crypto, you have it. It's definitely an asset store. Sometimes, it's prices right now are fluctuating. It's going up and down. I don't have where's my phone. I would talk about the latest crypto prices. I don't have my phone nearby to just pull it up to just talk about that. But I think last time I checked, Bitcoin is under 50K. I think it was like 47. Where is it? Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna search for it right now. But you know, yeah, at the end of the day, though, you're buying it, you have it. And sometimes you want to spend it on real things. I know people who have accumulated crypto wealth but at the time of their accumulation, they weren't spending a lot of money. They were just basically saving it. So now, more players and more systems are being put in place in which you can spend it like you would any other currency. So definitely interesting take on that. Let me let me put that article up, you guys. You want to take a look at it, follow up. All right, I'm posting it now. Hold up. I think we have a new comment somewhere. Jeff, friend of the show for sure. Jeff, Log4j. We are going to get into Log4j for sure. It's crazy week. For especially firms that are using the Java platform, use Java on their servers and so forth. And yeah, we're gonna get into that. With that, I just want to cover. I was going to talk about that first, but then I said it's a lot of meat there, so let's just do that last and close out. But yeah, we will definitely talk about Log4j. Crazy week for sure. Yeah, for those companies impacted, it has been. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. You don't have your software bill of materials and so forth. So we will definitely get into it. That's going to be one of our. It's going to be our main like last topic. Okay, what and thanks as always, Jeff. Thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate you. Good friend of the show. Um, Next on the list, HSBC and Wells Fargo launch blockchain-based FX settlement. So it's a foreign exchange settlement solution. Let's talk about that. So essentially, it's not like when you talk about, so it's a difference between obviously cryptocurrency and actually the technology of blockchain that enables that. But there's a lot of use cases around the blockchain technology itself, and that's what we're seeing here. So the bilateral agreement will see the banks use a shared settlement ledger to process US and Canadian dollars, British pound sterling, and euro transactions. So basically foreign exchange, trading one currency for another. So a couple of things to note. Uh, They say the blockchain tech reduces settlement risk and will provide real-time transparency of settlement status for max FX transactions. The shared private ledger enhances settlement speed and efficiency by using blockchain technology applied under the framework of an agreed rulebook to optimize payment versus payment netting opportunities between HSBC and Wells Fargo. It's a number that I saw here. So yeah, I think HSBC, they have it's going to further build upon their platform, their FX Everywhere platform, which has settled over 3 million intrabank trades worth over 2.5 trillion since going live in 2018. Lot of currency transactions. So now they're going to rely on they're going to extend this with the blockchain technology that they're going to use. I was thinking they're going to use something like I was always interested in the platform. It looks like the platform that's going to run on is Baton Systems, blockchain-inspired proprietary core distributed ledger technology, and is governed by the Baton rulebook. I reading this article is the first time I've actually heard of this particular platform. So I want to, on my own, I'm going to do some more research around that. For some reason, every time I hear bank and blockchain technology, I automatically assume they're going to be using something around Hyperledger. But Baton Systems, I need to look that up. Let me. Okay, I don't seem to have that article link handy, so I can't post it for you guys. But you could definitely look it up. Definitely interested in learning more. Okay, without further ado, we have to get now into like I said, the big elephant in the room, which is the Log4j vulnerability. So interesting stuff, right? Last week's show, we were talking about the OWASP top 21 OWASP guide, and then Ben, one of our viewers, said, "Hey, what about Log4j?" Mind you, that I think the issue just came out last Thursday, so he was like right on time with it. And I think at that time it was impacting Minecraft, but it now extended. I mean, the use cases of things that can impact are it's definitely crazy. So essentially, Log4j is a framework distributed for free by the Apache Software Foundation. So it's all part of open source, right? So in general, and we have videos on this that I did a video about software supply chain and different things about that. Like I think in 2019 I did the video, and we had shows and we talked about it. When you're building whatever application, software, technology, you tend to leverage these types of open source components, right? Because why something that is utilized for collecting collecting if data and I mean just utilize something for logging purposes. Why write that from scratch when you can leverage it if it's already if it's already there. So what Log4j does, it records user activity and behavior for applications for subsequent review, and tends to send that information back to the server so we can leverage that information. So this is something, basically what's the point of writing that if there's an open source framework that does that? You just essentially leverage it for your needs. And it's this particular framework has been leveraged um, for a very long time. So and it's been used. So it's mainly around application, not mainly, it's only around applications that use Java. So if you use Java, most of these applications leverage some sort of Log4j framework. Matter of fact, we have some we'll talk about some statistics later on, but before we get into statistics and see how widely it used, we're just going to get into the bug itself. So let's jump into that. So Sophos Lab, they really wrote a really good article on it, and with a really good breakdown. Let me paste that for you guys. So it's really, really good breakdown of that information. Log4j. Go, let's see. Here you go. That's what it show you. So this is a really good article that you can essentially leverage. So I really like this particular picture. You can kind of see what's going on. Oh wait, what just happened? Okay, a lot of things are happening on my screen. All right, so if you look on top, right, you see like the normal activity where an HTTP request is sent, everything is fine. And then on below, you see now with this particular issue, a malicious actor can now send a command back and basically leverage that to take control of your server. And then we'll show you something on the next screen. That's a GET request. Looks really, really kind of confusing if you look at it, but that's intentional, so you don't really see what's going on. But if it's on base 64, so this is an example of something malicious that could be sent. But if you look at a clear picture right now, when you really translate it, essentially that's what it's doing. It's the attack service in the 9.3 wherever, and it's calling some shell script there, and it's gonna do a w get, and it's going to that's going to be downloaded and executed on the remote server, and then from there you can see some potential exploits happening. So it says when exploited, the bug affects a server running Log4j, not the client computer. So it's really targeting the corporate servers in this particular case. But I just wanted you to kind of like see an example of how you would execute this type of remote shell attack. Um, that's what's sent. An example looks really confusing, but this is really an example of what's like happening. Anytime something is being executed remotely like this on your server, you could have run into some issues. No clue what this. You just assume that this shell command is going to do bad things and enable some sort of control being given access. Oh, okay. So you put the same link, Jeff. Okay, Jeff just pasted the link in. Oh, he just pasted the link in for us on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, this news article was a really, really good breakdown of what's going on. So what are some things that we can do? I mean, typically you would get these you get these log the developer would get these logs back and just assume everything was you wouldn't have some sort of threat involved. So I guess now you have to sanitize those messages. So a lot of it's gonna take new functionality being written. I mean, it's a heavy lift as you start going through. The first is trying to identify where all of your log4j is being used. Like, do you have some sort of software bill of materials? Do you know what open source components that you're using within your system and where to find it? And then you might have to do. I mean, obviously you're going to update. I think they just came out with a new version. The latest version came out December 13th, Monday. They had an update previously, I think on Friday, but then I think the latest one now is Monday. So obviously you're going to update that component. And it's some statistics at the time on Tuesday. Only about 35% updated that particular vulnerable component, and 63 and the rest 65 or whatever stat did not yet. So found that very interesting. This is Maven Central. So this is like an open source repository maintained by Sonatype. And if you can see there, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but the last update on this particular org.apache log4j artifact, latest version is 2.16. So if you're not using 2.16, you definitely should update your component, your log4j component was on December 13th, as I mentioned. All right, let's move on. So just some wait, we have a question. Let's see who's okay, it's Medina. What do you think this does in terms of larger impacts to the open source ecosystem? It's a good question. Um, Absolutely nothing. I think it's business as usual. I think you just have to be more diligent in understanding your software bill of materials. You have to be more diligent in tracking your open source components, and to prevent supply chain attacks. I mean, yeah, it was a 0-day attack, so companies can be, but as soon as you know about it, now it's time to update. Okay, wait. Somebody else is commenting it's 2.6, 2.16. I don't understand that comment, but yeah, I don't see companies are not going to stop using open source components. I mean, it's obviously risk to it, and it's because the development time, if you're going to do things from scratch, is just insurmountable. So I think companies that help manage open source components, help gain further insights on your, what is it called, software composition analysis. I think I'm a betting man. I think those they're going to get a ton more business now because people are legitimately scared. They're getting like, wow, how do we control this? How do we keep track? If it does happen, how can we be informed fast? Because if you were monitoring your open source components, you would have, if you had the necessary tooling involved, as it came out, you would have been aware. But as of this week, there's still companies or people who will really come, not people, but really companies who have not updated their open source that particular component. So if it's now, and what happens is, malicious actors are scanning the internet looking for any like open web server, anywhere that this is running, so they can basically run their exploits. So if they find your server and you currently have a vulnerable package, they're going to try to exploit it. The biggest prevention is updating your software. The next prevention, not prevention for this particular issue now, is putting in the safety mechanism. I mean, the same thing like uh, uh, a friend of mine that we were having a text chat. He mentioned it's similar to like SQL injections, right? You can't just accept the data coming in. You have to check it. You have to sanitize it. You have to make sure that. And I think thinking throughout that. I think that's what's gonna happen now. It's just more care around these types of components. You can't trust anything essentially, right? You're getting you're leveraging Log4j. Certain things are coming back about user activity. It could be it might not be a malicious act, or it might be, but you have to run that check to see. Uh, Jeff said, I think it's 2.16. I don't understand that. It's live, so maybe I said something and it's I mean this thing's live, obviously. I don't remember. I might have been talking and I'm not sure. Oh yeah, the version. Yeah, it's 2.16 for sure. That's right here. So if you go to Maven Central, it says it. That's one of that's like a that's a central repository where a lot of these different components are housed. Yeah, the latest version is 2.16 for sure. Came out updated December 13th, 2021. Sorry about that. I was like 2.1. Like, what is he talking about? I'm sorry about that. But yeah, for sure. That's the latest version. Right, what else? So yeah, over the last 4 months, this is how widely it's used. 28.6 million downloads over the last 4 months. So this is a widely used component. And see how many companies will update their system. All right, let's talk. Yes, this is a real in terms of the stats that I'm pulling right here, Sonatype, they did a really good job with this information. Let me give you guys the do I have the link for that? I don't, but oh, I do. This was a really good blog post just on stats and the impact of it. Um, Log4j stats. Let me put that up here. Hope I answered your question, Medina. I'll give you my thoughts and my opinion on it. Like I don't. It's just going to be more care around those components, right? It's you can't trust it. I mean, I've seen situations where um certain places they don't necessarily have those things in place, but you have to pull up. Got another comment coming on. I always love these discussions. Jeff, you answered it. Sorry, delayed. Oh, no worries, man. Any concerns with the supply chain issues? Can a web application firewall help mitigate this from public sites? Great question. Um, how do I answer this? I think all those things should be in place, right? It's something that we call not we, right? Saying we, but the term is defense in depth. So it's not just like one thing that you do, it's multiple things that you do around security. So what you're saying in terms of a firewall, that's one layer of protection. So, and then that's part of the whole defense in depth strategy. Firewall, okay, what are you doing for your software bill of materials? How do you know which open source components that you're using? How do you know if you're using the latest versions of those open source components, if any of those are vulnerable? What type of static code analysis are you doing to check your code base? And what type and are you training your developers to code in a secure manner in which they're sanitizing any data that comes externally, right? Whether it's Log4j, whether it's a user input or whatever. What do I miss? Yeah. So, um, are you doing a dynamic code analysis? You're doing your software composition analysis. Um, are you even low, I mean, I guess threat model exercise would apply to this, but you know, what are all of these things in place provide an overall defense and depth strategy. To your point, yeah, I mean, having a firewall is, whether you have some sort of WAF or web application firewall um, going on, and just different things for your applications, or really in this case, they're targeting your server. But yeah, so I would say, you just need a defense in depth strategy approach. That's my answer to your question. Shoot, shoot, shoot back your thoughts on my shoot back a response on that answer. What do you think about it? Do you agree, disagree, or do you have additional what are some additional comments on it? Curious. I know it's a delay, so you we're like we're not it's not real time. It's like I think 2 or 3, maybe 5 seconds off or something like that. But yeah, that's my thought. I think you should have all those things in place. I definitely think checking for vulnerable open source components is essential for any application. It's like critical that you do that and understand, and having your software bill of materials, very important. So if some issue comes up, you can search through. You're gonna be dealing with hundreds and thousands of different various components, but now if you have a software bill of materials and something comes up, you can easily traverse through it. Oh, we might be this might impact us, right? Like, let's check it's the same thing if you look at the regular supply chain, like when in any manufacturing a car, right? You buy a new car, you better believe they have some sort of material list of everything that went into your vehicle, so that that's how they know, right? So if there's some sort of defect, if there's some sort of warranty issue with some supply, that's how they know to do the recalls on certain things. Should have something like that in place for software. So what am I? And what we went over last week, when we went over the OWASP top 10, OWASP AO6, vulnerable and outdated components. That's part of the OWASP top 10. Understanding the components of your applications, and if they're vulnerable. And if they are, you have to update like ASAP. You have to be on top of that. So that's my thoughts on that. I mean, this Log4J is going to be a little bit of a hold up. Do we have any more? Oh yeah, I think as of Tuesday, only 36.5% they have not vulnerable, and 63.5 they have as vulnerable, meaning people who have not updated their open source component. This was the OWASP top 10 that we covered last week, but I think is relevant today too, right? Because part of it is that vulnerable and outdated components. Um, let's let me remove this. Yeah, I mean that's what I have today. It's really want to like touch base on that. Give a summary of the Log4j, some stats, what's going on, um, potential impact. Love the questions, Medina and Jeff. Thank you very much for that. Um, yeah. So yes, that's what I have. Let me know. I'm just 12:35. Stick around for some comments, additional questions, or even like your opinion. Like, how are you solving this? I'm curious to hear. What are some of your strategies around it? So listen, just some general show housekeeping. This will be our last show of the year. So the next 2 weeks we're gonna take off and come back strong in 2022 with some cool, interesting guests. All right, we have some more comments. Jeff, let's see what you're saying, brother. Thanks. Defense in depth is definitely needed. Some difficulties are still with making sure supply chains abide by these practices as well. Hopefully, this will continue to improve based on these events. Yeah. I mean, it's really the responsibility of the company, right? It's really the responsibility of the app builder, the the fintech or whatever company you work for, that it's their responsibility, right? So, you know, when you're using open source components, I mean, anything is free. It's free, but it's your responsibility to do the necessary validation. It's your responsibility to keep up with the latest security threats. So, it might be Log4j today. It could be something else tomorrow, right? So it's not necessarily the supply chain's responsibility. It's more so the person leveraging those things. That's your responsibility. You work with security folks, you keep tap, you do some threat intelligence, you keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. You have necessary tools in place that where you can automate some of these things. Um, yeah, it's the nature of the game, especially, as we become more reliant on technology, as we build, more apps, as we eh, I'm gonna say this. Let me just think about it before I say it, right? Anything that we're building now, you have a lot of things going on in big data and machine learning and um you know apps and just various applications from fintech to healthcare, whatever. Anything that is technical, you go get Bluetooth devices, anything that has some sort of technology in it has the potential to be breached. That's it. Has the potential to be exploited. I'm not saying everything will be exploited. It has the potential. So it's the creator's responsibility to guard against that. Can you be 100% secure? It might be overly expensive to do that, but you might look at the risk that pertains to your particular product or industry, and you can try to safeguard against those risks. You can kind of, it's a difference, right? If you live in a house and you have you leave your door unlocked and your windows open, and your neighbor has an alarm system that keeps his doors locked. If I'm a burglar, I'm gonna go into the one with the windows open and the doors unlocked. It's easier because it's gonna be more work to get into the neighbor's house who has an alarm system, he has locks, he has all this stuff. So, you know, and that's what look, I always say this, and it applies to so many different things, even outside of technology. Um, it's if it's two people being chased by a bear, you have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the other person. Um, I don't know. That's what I always think about. Let's see. We have another comment. Thanks. Enjoyed embracing me a chance to review the shows I missed. Appreciate that. Who's that? Adina, appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. And yeah, I will definitely try my best to enjoy the break. To everybody, have a happy holiday. Have a you know, celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. Other holidays you celebrate, enjoy your holiday. Definitely enjoy your New Year. It's my one of my favorite times of the year. But listen, you guys kept it rocking today. I love the questions and the feedback from both Jeff and Medina. It gave me a chance to actually, think through it and answer these questions. And listen, um, when it comes to these types of security issues, I mean, that's what I do for a living, but I'm still everyone's learning. Everyone's constantly trying to learn, read this stuff because there's new stuff coming out every day. And you just want to constantly increase your expertise and stay on top of your game. So, this show gives me a chance to do that. Things I might, you know, obviously for the research work I do in the university, and also um where how I work, this is my career, but it's constant reading, constantly staying on top of this stuff. So I thank you all, everyone, for giving me a platform and tuning into the show. Really, really appreciate this. This has been a very consistent year for us. We've been really rocking out and trying to bring you guys information that comes up in the fintech space and some technology space and discuss it. And I like to bring on, people on who specialize in certain things and know about certain things more so deep that dive deeper than myself. So let's bring them on and have a discussion. You have comments and you want to talk through it, it's all good. Shoot them out. We're here all trying to just grow as a community and just keep on top of our game and just keep learning. So beautiful thing. On that note, before I get all uh misty-eyed because we started this in 2020, this show, and it's our 56th episode, man. It's crazy. Really, because just shows, man. I remember like the first episode and to like now, and and it's gonna, and as we keep going on, it's gonna even get better and just keep improving. So remaining consistent with it. Thank you for tuning in, even if you're not live, but tuning in afterwards. There's some friends of mine that hit me afterwards. Oh, wow, I caught one of your episodes on YouTube, after the fact. If you see this next year, I appreciate you watching. All good. Listen, have a happy new year. And on that note, I am out. Take care until next year. See you guys. Cheers.